Kathy Vick, Deeply Awake, Chats 2017. I'm wearing such a cool shirt, and I'm really blessed because I wore it to work. I know. And I'm a nurse. But and you can even see my tattoo through it. I don't care. It's just awesome. And my boss gives me high marks every day. Aw. But I didn't come to tell you that or to extol the virtues of my Goodwill shirt. Or anything like that. I'm breaking away from the absolute kick in the pants fun I have as I'm planning a novel. So I'm breaking from that lovely happiness to tell you some thoughts I have. My friend from the Lovelies group, Terry, sent me privately a video, which I then, of course, had to make public because I found it so rocking. I'd heard about it, but I had never seen the video. It's a guy from the Netherlands who got involved in banking in the 90s. Yeah. And he has a lot to say about how the super rich and the ones who are fully contaminated by money, how they live. And she had sent along a thank you for the work that I had done dealing with the victims of this wrecking crew. And she talked about some other things, and I really appreciate the pointers that she gave me because it's led me on more of a treasure hunt. Who would have thought? I really thought that this was all about sweetness and light. I really did. Compassion above all and all that. So I'm a little shocked to realize how important this other group is, and how seeing things the way I'm seeing them has really led to a sense of power and peace. And so I really want to come and talk to those who are traveling in the realms of learning about the Bilderbergers and learning the Bilderberger Group and the Trilateral Commission and the Council on Foreign Affairs, is it? National Council on, I don't remember. The Protocol of Zion, and I mean, it just goes on and on and on. If you're going into that study, then may I bend your ear for just a minute, because I have some thoughts. Because my specialty is patterns, and I see a pattern. I have been doing work on this since the 90s. I've had my first encounter with one of these entities when I was 13. When I worked at a nursing home and was being taught by the teachers, there was indeed a patient. I had to go to work every day and feel that energy because that patient was affected. I would get the feeling from certain songs on the radio and bands, from certain actors, and then I couldn't shake the feeling. It was like a magnetic lock. It wouldn't go away. It took a long time to shake. Every time I encountered it while I was growing up. So I know very well this energy. So I want to talk a little bit about energetic management, how to deal with these entities, and what makes them tick, and why it is we see what we see, not only in the national and international fronts, but in our homes. Ready? First, energetic management. You have got to know that the only one who has any power over your energy is you. That's a law. You don't have to take the power. You don't have to use it. It's free will planet. But once you know that you have an energetic field, you then have responsibility for managing it. And when you're burning very bright, it's a beacon for darker entities. It makes sense. So it's important to know how to deal with it. First, you get to set your intention for your energetic field. What do you intend to have in it? What do you intend to keep out? You set your intention and say, only the highest love, light, and sound can and will come to me and through me. Or something to that effect. That's fine. It becomes the way you hold your body, the way you brush your hair. To know that you push light, that you are light, is enough. You don't have to know any of the other stuff. If you have a connection with God, that's sufficient. Like a creator who's a friend. Anyway, the first job is to manage the energetic signature. I'll give you an example. While I was working with the teachers, I was curious because in my hallway between my bedroom and my front room, there was this long, skinny hallway, and it had a sunlight, skylight, and I really liked it. But the thing was, I would be in the bathroom or I'd be in my bedroom and I would hear this like large clapping noise, and I couldn't figure out what was going on, and I'd look and there's nothing going on in the front room and nothing in the hallway, and my cats are fine. That happened repeatedly. And I finally went to the teachers, and during a session I said, so can you tell me what the deal is with what I'm hearing in my hallway, because there's something going on. And they scanned it and said, yeah, you have a big portal. There's like a door, and there's energy coming in and flopping in and leaving fast, and what you're hearing is energy. And so you should probably take care of that. And it taught me that it's really wise to be actually conscious of your energetic field and to set it and to make it plain. No entities are allowed in my energy who are not of the highest love, light, and sound. They're not allowed entrance. You're not welcome here. That's all. That's all you have to do. If you want to burn sage or wear a crystal around your neck or say a prayer every night, fine. No, you just state it and it's done. It's your energy by God. The second is when you encounter energy that you know is foreign, malevolent, and not appropriate. Somehow it got through. What do you do then? Well, it's there for a reason. Remember that old phrase? How to get rid of guilt? Remembering everything is by agreement and request. And if you're face to face with something that's entirely dark, well then, it's still your energetic field. So, what do? When I had the patient, we had trouble because these entities, you must understand that these are human beings, and there's an imprint. There's a ride along. There's an influence. There's an entity. And the idea is that with this fused nature, by agreement, the human becomes a bit of a chaos maker, a mayhem producer. Because, you see, you must understand that the entities I'm talking about, the non-physical portion of this, they thrive, they feed on anger, fear, chaos, imbalance, panic, self-doubt. Terror is, of course, the delicacy. And terror in an infant is the prize. But if they can get a good, upstanding person to do dark things, and then be in chaos, and then possibly get caught, and then all of that, well, that's fine. That's fine. And the more of those people who are off the rails encircling this entity, the better. That's what we had going. A patient who was dealing weed and sleeping with the aides and lots of stuff that shouldn't have been going on. I didn't know what to do, because there is a power there that is otherworldly, and it's the logic is, everything is slidey, everything is off center. It's not good. And I was able to heal this particular fellow, and I've talked about it before. So I'll tell you what I did to affect change, and what you can do. I knew very well what I was dealing with. And I just have to say, these are things that I feel. And it's physical, and it's very unpleasant, very uncomfortable. And I didn't act for a very long time. And then after I received counsel and thought about it and decided I was ready and I was strong enough, I put the lessons to work. The point behind this is that these human beings who go dark, so to speak, they're just more prone to this kind of thinking. That's all. It's just easier. They're not bad people, and they wouldn't be presenting in your reality unless they were looking for a healing. So, what you represent is white light. What you represent is grace. What you represent is the divine love of mother for child. White light. But the thing is, if someone is lost, the white light itself will bring them back. You don't need to. So standing in your full power, fully aware of your light, and how brilliantly white it truly is. You gather it in front of you into a large enough ball that you can manage. You ready yourself. The person who you're treating is in front of you, in your mind or whatever, and smiling. You do not let them in under any circumstances. Ever. Let me repeat that. You never, ever let these entities in. Ever. Not even to say thank you. It's not the role. Keep that in mind. Because you're going to be transferring energy. And it needs to be clean. Exuberant. Confident. Joyful. In front of you is a huge electric ball of white light. And in front of you is the individual who has requested it. When you're ready, with the intention of giving them this gift. No agenda. And it's done. It's done. Walk away. Don't even stick around for a thank you. Walk away. Your conduit, really. It didn't take long after that before we had a little meeting with that patient. And I had words finally. I let him know. We are very well aware of what you're doing. We have been aware. It must be a pretty comfortable place for you to be doing all that. We're glad you like it here. It's clear you do. It's clear you're comfortable. The thing is that your behavior is quite chaotic, and it's caused a lot of problems. And so we'd like to find you a more reasonable place to live. And we will really be happy to spare no expense to find you a place where you can do this kind of thing among peers. If you'd like to stay with us, there are a few things that you'll be responsible for. And the first is managing your behavior. It really depends on how much you want to stay here. We'll know your decision by your behavior. And don't think we won't hesitate. We have choice places in mind. He was a different person. Because we left his self-esteem intact. And it was just a matter of letting him know. I mean, he could be with people who, if he wanted to keep doing it, he'd be able to, but not with us. And he chose us. He really turned it around. In the end, he went back to school. He was a young guy. And one day, driving away, Shine came on, Collective Soul. I'm cranking it. And as always, as I'm leaving the parking lot, cranking it. And I drive, and I look back to the nursing home, and there's that guy in his wheelchair, hearing my song cranked, going like that to Shine. So I've seen it work. And I hope that helps. But I want to talk to you about this pattern that I'm seeing. And the pattern is that you can, is at the very top, the very, very top, in the non-physical entities, and then in the small circle, the bigger circle, and then the 8,000, and then those who are the wannabes. The, whatever you want to call this group. They have a signature. And I really want to talk about it because it's really, really helpful. I've seen more than one person who was deep, deep, deep into that system come back and report that the bottom line is this group has nothing but contempt for humanity. Contempt is their signature. I looked up contempt, and it's chilling. It's the kind of stuff I've been talking about. And I've been thinking about this all day long. Because really what I've been talking about with being sexually involved with a violent person, being financially involved with a violent person, being involved at all with a violent person. What creates the violence? What is at the heart of it? What does it feel like in the middle of a truly abusive situation. Contempt. Contempt. There is contempt. And it may be veiled, thinly or thickly, but there's contempt. And this is something that I've had struggling with, because that's an easy one for a woman to feel. It's an easy one for an American to feel. It's easy for anyone to feel these days. And this presumption of criminality, have you noticed? I find it very contemptuous. When I'm confronted by a stranger and told that I need to disrobe and open up my bag to prove to that stranger that their fear isn't real, that they're convinced that I am a threat, and the onus is on me. To prove I'm not. It's a bad feeling to know that I am dealing with someone who is convinced that I'm bad. What's another word for that? Would it be contempt? Being held in contempt. And that the non-physical portion of this group knows humanity is the light. Humanity itself is the divine light. Okay? They know that. They don't want you to know. That's the idea. So it's divide and conquer, right? Race wars and class wars and divide and conquer. Okay, fine, that's internationally and nationally, but let's look at work. That's been a really hard thing to deal with, watching the management get thicker and thicker and thicker, both in numbers and in the sense of contempt they hold their workers in. It's shocking. I have a friend who has worked restaurants, and he said, the back of the house and the front of the house tries to get along with the back of the house, but not in nursing. The front of the house is pissed at the back of the house and doesn't trust him. And wow, yeah, divide and conquer. But let's go even closer. That old psychological tenet that says we have an ego that's evil. That really we need to, if we're going to be in good mental health, we need to find our ego, isolate it, and kill it. Divide and conquer. That there's something within that's bad. To me, it's the same thing as original sin. It's the same doctrine, only it's been jazzed up into a psychological form. Born dirty, or whatever you want to call it. The idea here is contempt. And further, this morning, the lesson, the training was on free will. If you don't have any contempt, if you don't have any feelings of goodwill toward the person in front of you, and you know that they're just stupid and a piece of shit, and you can do anything to them, including lie, cheat, and steal, and you're justified because they're stupid, because they let you. Yeah. That's gross. And it's really not very divine, is it? This idea that we have that humans are bad, dumb, crazy, stupid, wrong, self-destructive, none of that's true. That our personality has within it something that poisons it and kills it, not true. Not true. Who would have said that about humanity? What could possibly be at the heart of that one? What better way to keep a species under control? So, it's a free will planet. Everyone has free will. Looking at so many of the stories I see around me, it seems as if people don't realize they have free will. I sometimes don't feel like I have any. It feels like my situations have will and I don't. But we have free will. And we can exert that over what we think, what we say, what we believe, how we see. So I think that, for me, if I remember, it's been really fun because humans are good. That's the thing. That's, they keep making up really sweet rationale and buying really weird rationale for really dark things that happened, like 9/11. Human beings can't possibly imagine that their keepers, the ones in charge, the ones who write their checks, were the ones to do that. But if you see kind of who benefited from that, well, we got the Patriot Act and we got a war that allowed us full access to opium poppy fields. So, we won all the way around. We. America, this node of the empire. So what I'm thinking is this small group of people who have hooked into things that are so flimsy and so dark and so artificial and borrowed and hackneyed at this point and ineffective. And they still think they're in charge. They're not. And it feels really good to remember that. And to be, I did this thing about being guilt-free. I like the idea of being contempt-free, or being at least very aware when I'm feeling contempt for someone else, for a situation, for a political thing, for a group of people. I'm doing something that is very helpful to a group of people and a group of entities who don't need any help. It doesn't mean that I can't discern right from wrong. It's that feeling of contempt, of scorn, of hatred. Really, the end of this is I saw a video on Facebook, and the guy said, we really don't have an honesty or integrity. We don't have an integrity problem in politics. We have a contempt problem in politics. And if you start looking at it, the ultra super rich, they're all connected, right? They all know each other. And the ones who run countries, they party together. It's a joke that they hate each other. Russia and America. They're friends. Germany and America. Well, it's interesting how the shoes change foots, but it's the same dance that the shoes are dancing. Just so I have to this day felt so relieved, because I'm allowing things that have been sort of not okay to even breathe a word of be okay, which is good. And to also see that, what's coming from as above, so below, as within, so without. So it's nice to realize that part of vanquishing, part of stepping away from an old life and going into a new one is vanquishing, recognizing things that used to be really like stumping and really scary and threatening, and to see them in a framework that makes more sense. To close, I will tell you of a really interesting documentary. This whole mystery is one that is very, very fascinating. That there are so many things that are out of place should be reason enough to know that something's up. There's a really interesting documentary on YouTube about the Titanic and the Olympic. It makes a tremendous amount of sense to imagine the postulate that the Olympic, having been damaged twice to the point where it was really just scrap metal, that the Olympic was, while in dry dock, switched to make it look as if the Olympic were the Titanic. And it's the Olympic, as the Titanic, that took its maiden voyage and sunk, as it was supposed to. With that information, and then reviewing what happened that night, everything makes a lot more sense. It was a staged, falling on your sword kind of thing, that they knew the ship was going to break up, and there was a ship there to rescue, but there was a snafu. And so a lot of people drowned. And, pre 9/11, very messy. A lot of bankers, a lot of people didn't make it on that boat. A lot of people were warned. And so, when you begin thinking that maybe this is, that might be the level of callousness. It's the only thing that makes sense when you then look at some of the other things that have gone on. The shootings and the bombings and the wars. So I can see it more as it really is their stuff. And in this instance, it's been bothering me. Where's the us and them? We can't have an us and them. It's all like unity. No, there really is an us and them. It really is. And it's not wise. It's not skilled to think in terms of unity consciousness with people who need to subvert other people's free will. They're on the flipped agenda. They don't want a seat at the table, and yet they're sitting there serving the food. It's a conundrum for our time. But as far as this is, and so this is just a dark and light thing. It's just that's all it is. And what it is the lights have come on, and we're now seeing what's always been there. That's the point. This apparatus has been in place for a long time. And when I heard someone just recently refer to Jesus as being someone who was warning us about these entities, this group, and what it does to human consciousness, and then to begin thinking, the story plays out in a way that would indicate that it was still very dark, that he got a lot of work done against the odds, and He was letting us know it was already here. And he was murdered for it. By the people he was warning us about. By the energy he was warning us about. Now, I do believe that there is entirely possible that there are many Jesuses, and that there was one who really needed to do the psychodrama, but that there were many of the Jesuses. I don't know. I wasn't there. Ha ha ha. We'll just let it be conjecture. But I think it's fun to be thinking about these things in terms that are a little unconventional. So with that, I think I'll go back to glassy-eyed pondering of novel writing. It's a kick. And I keep thinking I should go buy a notebook and start scribbling, but I don't write that way anymore, so I really should just use my journal. But at this point, I'm just doing the delicious thinking. So I'm gonna do more of that in my floofy shirt. I love it. I love that I can dress any way I want. Well, pretty much any way I want. And I haven't worn my tutu to work. I don't think I will do that, but I'll wear it soon. All right, well, that's all I have to say. And it's quite a lot. And it's kind of risky. And I hope you don't mind me risking. And I'm not worried about those jerks. I can handle it. If that's how I'll end. Because I energetically, come on, you just... Don't even. That's one other area. I don't have many. I'm working on having a whole bunch. Areas where you just, if you want to sit and take a pot shot, then that's just fine, but I'll just laugh at you. It's just like, whatever. Think whatever you want, baby. I don't care. I know what you're talking about. And if you don't see its value, then, that's fine. It tells me everything about you and nothing about me. I love you, baby. Like that. And I feel that way about my writing, but I also feel that way about energetics. I know what I'm doing. And so, I hope that my white ball thing helped you. I took it off. I took it down. I've been talking about this negativity since the beginning, but very, very judiciously, really cautiously. And there's a lot that I have not divulged. Oh, so much. But what I have divulged, I hope, has helped you. And if you need to rest assured that I'm a legitimate warrior with this sort of energy, go ahead and email me. I'm happy to give you more details. I just don't want to do it publicly. How's that? But yeah, there's a lot to this story. And so when I come to you, I'm letting you know that, I have experience with this. It's real. It's going on right now. This Luciferianism and all that stuff. I don't know if Trump is one of them. He certainly is. He's filthy rich, and so of course he's full of contempt for the little man. My dad knows a billionaire who deals with China and stuff, and he told me long ago that one of the characteristics of that fellow is how much contempt he has just for the common man. Just not even a neutral sort of isn't that nice that they're all cogs in a machine, but contempt. Yeah. So when you're feeling it, when you're doing a retail exchange, when you're at a governmental office, when you're with a friend, when you're alone and thinking, when you watch the news, When you regard someone who you know is part of a violent organization, I am managing my contempt levels, knowing that, if nothing else, that is a tracer for this dark. That's a tracer. And so if I know that's a tracer, that's an easy thing to weed out, to be aware of, to disregard, to unplug from. Contempt. Very powerful. I hope this has found you well, and I hope that you remain well. I don't want you to feel any kind of threat. You've been living in this matrix. You've had many lifetimes in this matrix. This ain't nothing new. Your soul knew all about it. Okay? There are lots of granddaddies around and grandmamas around who know what to do. So don't you forget, each human being is a threat to these Dorcases, because we have innate power they do not. Imagine such a thing. A sleeping giant. Slowly, reluctantly, curiously, becoming deeply awake. Sailor. Crap. Sorry about that.